So in 2015, one of the best action flicks of the last 10, 20 years came out. It won about 6 Oscars, was nominated for more, and it goes down in history as one of the best, most kick-ass action flicks of all time. We're going to talk about it right here on Film Fan. Oh, it's Mad Max Fury Road. Film Fan. Hey, welcome to Film Fan, my channel where I discuss all things film related and movies and my passion for movies. So if that is also your thing, hit the subscribe button below and the notifications button so you do not miss any of these videos. Let's get right into it. Mad Max Fury Road, 2015. This is the 4th installment in the Mad Max series, which started back in 1979, 1980, and there were 3. So there was Mad Max, the original one. There was Mad Max, the Road Warrior, and Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, or in the Thunderdome, top of the Thunderdome. Beyond the Thunderdome, right? Yeah, I didn't even see that one, to be honest with you. I saw pieces of it. All I know is it had Tina Turner, and it was the inspiration for the badass video by Tupac and Dr. Dre called California Love. So that's that. Now, with that said, if you've never seen a Mad Max movie, or you don't know anything about the Mad Max origins or history of a Mad Max movie, you can still enjoy Mad Max Fury Road as an action flick that's going to kick ass, and you're going to love it. If you've seen the Mad Max movies and you're familiar with the whole story, then obviously it's going to mean a little something more to you. But with that out of the way, I'm going to give you just a brief summary of what you need to know to understand, like, sort of the setting for this movie. Mad Max movies take place in the future, in this post-apocalyptic dystopian world where there was some sort of like oil war and fuel and gas is now scarce, along with a bunch of other resources, and the pretty much society has collapsed, civilization has collapsed, and it's kind of every man for himself. And times like that, people get desperate and people get violent. So you've got these different gangs and different warring factions, and that's pretty much the basics or the basis for the Mad Max movies, without going into a whole bunch of details about each film in particular. So that brings us to the 2015 film Mad Max Fury Road. Oh, I should probably also say that Mel Gibson actually played the Road Warrior. I wasn't going to say that? Of course I was going to say that. Mel Gibson played the original Mad Max. There, now you know. The role's been picked up by Tom Hardy, and originally, another piece of not weird information, but just a random piece of information, Heath Ledger was actually going to play the role of Mad Max in this installment. But we lost Heath Ledger, so Tom Hardy actually took the role, and Tom Hardy does a pretty good job of mumbling his way through it like he does pretty much every other movie. But anyway, nothing against Tom Hardy. He does a good job. So this movie opens up, and Mad Max is in his own thoughts. He's kind of hanging out, eating lizards in the wasteland of this world, and he's kind of just in his own thing. And suddenly he finds himself being pursued by a group of people called War Boys, these crazy, maniacal dudes. And so anyway, they're in their crazy cars. Max gets in his crazy kick-ass car, and it's the first car chase scene of the entire movie, which is pretty badass, by the way. They capture Max. They bring him back to a spot called the Citadel, where they all reside, which is kind of like this compound of things where it's ruled by this guy named Immortan Joe, who's another kick-ass character in this movie. I mean, it's just the look and the feel, the whole thing, it's just crazy. Immortan Joe's worshipped as a god of sorts with all these people, and he's the one that disseminates the water and all the resources. He's got a bunch of wives for breeding. He's got a bunch of minions around him that do his bidding, including the War Boys, who serve as like young, youthful army. All right, so it's kind of like old man telling people what to do, and the young army going out and fighting and dying for it. We've seen that before. So one of his people is the Imperator Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron. Mind you, she does a kick-ass job in this role, and no matter what they do to this woman, they give her one arm, they shave her head and do all sorts of stuff, and she ends up getting damaged and bruised, and no matter what throughout the entire film, she's absolutely gorgeous to look at. There's just no way around that. I had to mention that. Oh, and one more thing. Zoe Kravitz is in this movie. If you saw my last video, you'll know why I just did that. So yeah, the plot of the movie, let's just get into how this works and why it's such a badass film. It doesn't do anything that it's not supposed to do. Does that make sense? Or how do I say it? It does exactly what it's supposed to do without trying to do too much. It's an action film. It doesn't try to give you multiple subplots and storylines. It doesn't tell too much backstory, which is why I gave you a little bit of the backstory at the beginning of this. It doesn't try to do anything special. It just says, you know what? We're going to film an action movie, and we're going to do it the best possible way. And they actually succeed. The trick to really good storytelling is take your protagonist, give them a goal, give them an objective, and then throw something in their way at every single turn, stopping them. And that's what Mad Max Fury Road does. Furiosa in the beginning of the movie is sent out. Joe sends her out to get fuel and bullets. So she takes what's called the War Rig, which is this crazy monster truck, and she goes out to get, again, gas and bullets. Joe sends out a bunch of the war boys with her to escort her, to protect her from whatever's in the desert in this wasteland and whoever's going to, possibly rob her or cause problems. So a bunch of war boys go with her. Furiosa decides to take some sort of a detour, an unscheduled detour that Joe didn't quite know about. Joe finds out she took a detour, so he wants to know what's going down. So he sends more war boys after Furiosa to find out, hey, what's the deal? Where are you going? I thought you were going to get bullets. I thought you were going to get gas. What's with the detour? Well, what happened to Max? It's a Mad Max movie. Not really a Mad Max movie. Technically, it's called Mad Max, but really Furiosa is like the badass, kick-ass 99% of this film is Furiosa. But back to Max. Max the whole time has been hemmed up in a cage and being used as a blood bag for one of the war boys named Nux. So Nux takes Mad Max, straps him to the hood of a car, has a tube running into him, and he's using him for blood, and he drives off to go get Furiosa. So that's basically the start of the film. That's what happens. That's what's going down. I know I'm making this sound like it's very casual. I'm not trying to do a really in-depth analysis and go through every little detail of the movie with you. I'd rather have you see it and be like, oh shit, wow, that's it. But it's a basic chase movie. It's a whole lot of cars, whole lot of kick-ass trucks, custom-built vehicles, all this just like crazy vehicles and action and chase scenes. And it's all done spectacularly well. The filming of everything, these wide sweeping shots. George Miller directed this, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that, but George Miller's the director, and he directed all the Mad Max movies. So this is not something where some other director came in and started directing. George Miller directed this. The shots, these wide sweeping shots, the editing, it never feels too choppy. You never feel like you're out of the action. You always feel like you're part of it. As far as the action and the stunts, they're all old school practical effects. There is visual effects, of course, in CGI, but they just use that. I mean, you need CGI and stuff to do a commercial about toast nowadays. You use CGI. It's just what it is, okay? It's part of filmmaking. But overall, the action and stuff is real. There's cars hitting trucks and trucks hitting cars and tanks and all this crazy stuff and people jumping off of sticks and like mountains, and there's ATVs, and it is absolutely insane. It is a thrill ride from beginning to end. I saw it 3 times in a movie theater, and every time I saw it, I felt like after the first 20 minutes and a half an hour, I felt like I had to catch my breath. There's a brief pause, and then it kind of kicks ass again and goes right back into it. So that's Mad Max Fury Road. If you've never seen this movie, this is something you absolutely must see. I'm going to put a link in the description for where it's streaming currently and also where you can pick up the 4K Blu-ray. Funny, interesting story. My dad and I talk movies and film and TV shows and what each other's watching, and we recommend things to each other almost every day. And he asked me a couple of days ago what I'm going to be reviewing on Film Fan, and I said, I'm going to get to Mad Max Fury Road. And I thought he had seen it, and he never saw it. So this is for you, Dad. I kind of told him, I said, look, don't watch that movie until you see my review on it, and I inspire you to do it and to see it. So hopefully he gets to it soon. All right. That's it for me on Film Fan. Listen, if you liked Mad Max Fury Road and you saw this movie, I can't imagine anyone who didn't, all right, see this movie and like it. Like I can't see anyone saying it sucked or even that it wasn't that fantastic. But hey, if you liked it, leave it your thoughts in the comments. If you hated the movie or thought it could have been better, leave your notes in the comments. If you're a big Mad Max fan and you feel that I blew it and I didn't give too much information about Max, let me know in the comments. Anyway, in the meantime, since we can't get out to the movies and it's a pandemic and we're not able to go do that, go grab yourself a movie that you haven't seen. Remember, if a movie is 5 years old or 10 years old, 15 years old, or 30-something years old, if you've never seen it, it's a brand new movie to you. So lose yourself in movies, find yourself in the movies, love the movies, and I'll see you on the next Film Fan.